Hello, Ed Worley. Carlos Aviz is on with us as well. We're live again, as usual, from Studio B here in the Beach Street Yacht Club. And we have a great show for you today. Ted Ryman checking in from wet and windy Cape Town, or at least the fires, I think. You had some rain down there, Ted. Thanks for sending us that. John Emmett down in Mexico for a change. Well, continuing. Peter Taylor in New York City. There's a new name, Tony Shale. Hi, Tony. Pedro Filing Sailor off walking at Balmoral Beach. We'll watch the show and replay. Okay, have a good walk, Pedro. Peter Stevenson, of course. Don Lunabos up in Sonoma. Jean-Jacques Grandchamp. Long time, Jean-Jacques. Nice to see you, sir. In the meantime, let's get this one off the dock. Welcome.
7, 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1.
Hi, everybody. Welcome to show number 529 for Tuesday, the 14th of June. We got a lot of news and information, news notables, and views, of course. News, views, and notables, we usually say. Julie, I trust you are well.
I am.
Any hot tips?
Oh, no. I just know that today is Flag Day.
It is Flag Day, and it's also something else. Not so special, but we'll talk about it. We're live, of course, from Studio B. I think I mentioned at the Beach Street Yacht Club. Julia, we did not coordinate our attire today. I had no idea you were coming down here in your America One scarf and green summery dress.
A summary for one day or two in San Francisco today.
Well, indeed, and I put on my green sports jacket.
Yes.
For the, it is springy.
It is.
Cold, though. What is it, 75 now? It's warmed up a bit.
75 is very warm for San
Well,
Francisco.
exactly, when it's normally 60, but... We've got Road to the GovCup, episode 3, Jordan Stevenson, another one of these fabulous kids. I mean, he's going to do his second GovCup. We're delighted to have him on the show. And okay, my camera was a little stodgy there. Julia, we're having a couple of problems with your camera today, so if we have a problem with that,
More coffee.
We'll feed it more coffee. Let's get into the pre-start, this Castle Cove Sailing Club slide, courtesy of our fuzzy John Emmett. Now, Julia, do you know what other day it is today besides Flag Day here in the U.S.?
I don't.
There's your first and only clue.
Bubble Bath Day.
Close. It's International Bath Day.
Okay.
Bring out your bubble bath and enjoy a luxurious soak.
Oh, I'll do that.
On International Bath Day. Now, do you know why it's International
I have no
Bath
idea.
Day? Neither did I. I had to look this up. The reason, there's your clue. You know who that is?
A king of bubbles.
What kind of a mood are you in?
I don't know.
That is Archimedes.
I recognize
Legend
him.
has it that on June 14th, Greek mathematician, scientist, and scholar Archimedes discovered, while taking a bath, that an object's volume, as we all know, could be accurately measured by being submerged in water. Unable to contain his excitement over this discovery, Archimedes leapt out of the bathtub and yelled,
Eureka! Eureka!
as he ran through the streets of Syracuse, Greece. Since the exact date of Archimedes' birth was unknown, the day chosen to commemorate this International Bath Day is the day that it is believed he kept, I think they meant leapt out of the bathtub June 14th. Now, how did they determine June 14th? How was this date determined? The ancient Greek legend says that it was exactly 1 week before the beginning of summer. The calendar in those days was astronomical, and seasons were determined due to the 23.5 degree tilt of the Earth's rotational axis in relation to the orbit around the sun. As you all know, summer began then and today on June 21st, so a week before June 14th. Week before is June 14th, and this was the date set.
Oh, I'm so glad to know that.
Wasn't this great news?
Yes.
Interesting news. You never know what you're going to learn here on Sailing Illustrated. Now, in commemoration of Flag Day here in the U.S., it's not a big day, but It's something those of us who are patriots, we do celebrate, and I like to grab a picture of this, of course, New York Yacht Club's Harbor Court. Harbor is spelled wrong. That should be Harbour in the Commonwealth sense of the word, in Newport, Rhode Island, where they have a magnificent flagpole down there on the pier. America's Flag Day marks the Second Continental Congress's adoption of the first U.S. national flag on June 14, 1777. It's one of those days that doesn't move around to a Monday, the closest Monday. The first flag featured the same 13 red and white stripes we see today. However, the number and arrangement of stars have, you grammarians would say has, I would say has, changed. As the number of states has increased over the centuries, the current flag has remained the same. Since 1960, will we see it go from 50 to 51? And they said, read on. And I said, no, thank you. We don't need to read on about that. Enough about Flag Day. Those of you celebrating it, happy Flag Day. Welcome to our show number 529. By the way, no show Friday because I'm down in Long Beach helping televise the Rose Cup. More on that later, but let's get to the starting line and our segment, as always, with our master mentor, John Emmett. We love to have the show. He checked in again this morning from Puerto Vallarta in Mexico, where he's sailing in the Ilka 6, what we used to call the laser radial, the Ilka 6 Masters, and he's leading his division. No surprise.
Oh,
here's John's report. Great. Enjoy.
Hi Tom, Julia and all the Fozy. I'm back in the boat park at Vallarta Yacht Club, and yes, this isn't hair and makeup. I am absolutely dripping, so I'm going to keep this short and sweet. Great to be able to watch the show today, I think, because we've got a rest day going on, and I really need it. I thought I had the world's worst hangover after the Ilka 7 party, but I think I probably got rather dehydrated, and I've been pumping myself through with electrolytes, and funnily enough I feel a lot better. But every day on the water I think I've taken another bottle out with me, and every day I finished it before I've managed to get in. So learning experience for John. I think I would really encourage people to come and do events like this. I've been doing interviews throughout the week, and probably some of the happiest people were the people who are towards the back of the fleet, who are just having an absolutely wonderful holiday. Sailing is a sport for absolutely everyone, and we see that here. I mean, the legends, the oldest age category, they really deserve their title, and hopefully I'll be speaking to some of the legends later on in the week. But for now, wow, yeah, it's pretty hot. I'm going to go and disappear and have my third shower of the day. Have a great show.
That was nice.
It was nice. They all are nice.
Yes.
I don't know if we appreciate, I do, I'm not sure everybody else appreciates how much work that is for John to put out a video every Tuesday and Friday. He's gotten really good at it, and we much appreciate it. John, that super coach, John Emmett, our Fozy, Super Fozy, in fact, and he is leading his division in what is the youngest Masters fleet, apprentice Masters fleet. He's won all his races except the third race, which he discarded as a third. Talking to him, texting with him this morning, they're having a great time, and I think his sentiments in that, Julia, was just magnificent. You know, what a great sport we have. These people are having a blast. I'm sure Peter Stevenson is eating his heart out not being able to be there.
Yes.
Down there with that gang in PV. Lots of comments rolling in here. John Emmett, who is on with us, he has the day off, as he said, replying to Kim McIntosh, Chalmont down in Texas. Yes, I guess we have around 30 degrees in Houston during October for the women's Ilka 6 Worlds, 30 degrees, I guess, centigrade they meet. It's Bill Wingrove says it's a hot day on Tampa Bay. We all hit the pool to cool off and maybe race in inflatable pool toys. This week it was bulls with horns. What does that mean? Ryman in Cape Town is saying, John is amazing. I don't know how he does it. I struggle to decide what beer I fancy each day. Hydration, John, hydration, Lunabos is saying. Yeah, nice sentiments. John Schaefer, someone needs to invent Sailorade, a replacement for Gatorade, or is it a dark and stormy? This is the drinking show with a sailing habit. Peter Bretschker, Commodore Staff Commodore Peter Bretschker down at Balboa Yacht Club, looking forward to a weekend on Adios covering Rose Cup. And as I mentioned, we will be dark on Friday. No show Friday because I will be either traveling or already down in Long Beach. Not quite sure which, but Staff Commodore Peter Bretschker, his wife Kari, are going to drive their beautiful, a 50-something foot boat up from Balboa Yacht Club up to Long Beach. And that is our television boat for GovCup. It will also be our television boat for the Rose Cup. And Peter and Kari and our crew of some 25 people, led by Chris Bretschker, his son, their son Chris, and Andy and I will be doing commentary with some young people joining us, both on the chase boat. John Sangmeister has kindly donated Julia his rib, his big rib.
Oh, good.
Is inflatable. So we'll have that as our chase boat and our roving reporter. And we put one of the kids on there, and they're so good. These kids are so good at this.
I really enjoy hearing the young kids do it because they know exactly what's going on and why. and ordinary commentators don't usually know that.
Well, you talk about Andy and myself.
Even you.
No, the kids are great. We try to use more and more of them for GovCup and again for Rose Cup this weekend. Emmett's saying he still got a bit of a headache from that party. Well, I'm sorry about that, John. Bill Haynes saying a nice hot breeze here in Independence, Missouri. Yeah, they had quite some weather go through Michigan and the upper Midwest. But we always are talking about the weather. Who cares? Krasimir Naumov, welcome from Cannes, he is saying. Warm and nice, waiting for the start of the Rolex Giralia tomorrow. David Robinson. Sunny and hot Hayes Valley here in San Francisco. David Robinson, who's no longer the esteemed GM at the San Francisco Yacht Club, Julia. He's now a headhunter.
He is.
He's an esteemed headhunter for club and other organization GM. So he's left San Francisco Yacht Club after a long run here at St. Francis, then Balboa, then out at Outrigger Canoe Club, then at San Francisco Yacht Club, and he's now, I'm sure he's superb. He's recruiting GMs.
Well, and he's the been at the very top of the GMs. So
he has indeed, and he's just one of the nicest guys and most efficient types you'd ever meet. Stingray is saying, Julie, is Archimedes the guy who also got hit on his head by a falling apple? I don't think it was Archimedes. I think that was a different guy. Jared DeYoung's on. Maura Stevens up in Canada, Nova Scotia, and Halifax, and on. Welcome to everybody again. Let's get right to this day in history, Julia. This we've covered this before, but not this particular date. Do you know what happened on the 14th of June? We covered the topic, but not what actually happened on the 14th of June, 1789.
Well, the flag could have flown that time. For the first time.
Here's your first clue. See the name on the
Bounty.
The Bounty. Here's what didn't happen on this day. Lieutenant, later Vice Admiral, Captain then Vice Admiral William Bligh is set adrift by the mutineers aboard the Bounty on April 28th, 1789. Not June 14th, but April 28th. He and some of his loyal officers and mates are set aboard this launch. So Bligh, as you know, he's the name. We all use Captain Bligh as the
mean guy.
A mean, horrible captain. Maybe he was, but there's revisionist history, maybe, but there's also a lot of history that says he wasn't such a bad guy. Vice Admiral William Bligh, born in 1754 and lived till 1817, was an officer of the Royal Navy, of course, and a colonial administrator. This I did not know. The mutiny on the Bounty occurred during his command of Bounty, HMS Bounty, in 1789 after being set adrift in Bounty's launch by the mutineers. Bligh and his loyal men all reached Timor alive. A couple of them died when they got there, but after a journey of 3,618 nautical miles, 6,700 kilometers. Bligh's logbooks documenting the mutiny were inscribed on the UNESCO Australian Memory of the World Register on 26 February 2021. Well, that and 385 won't buy you a Starbucks. But nonetheless, 17 years after the Bounty Mutiny, I had no idea, on the 13th of August, 1806, he was appointed governor of New South Wales in Australia, of course,
Mhm.
with orders to clean up the corrupt rum trade.
Aha.
His actions directed against the trade resulted in the so-called Rum Rebellion, during which Bligh was placed under arrest on 26 January 1808 by the New South Wales Corps and deposed from his command, an act which the British Foreign Office later declared to be illegal. He died back in London in 1817. Yeah, they landed safely. Ted Ryman is saying they landed safely on the coast of Australia. Well, they did before they got to Timor. We have the rest of that story. In the red is the voyage of the Bounty coming across here, Tasmania, and up through Tahiti, Palmerston, Tofua. And that's where, just north here, that's where the mutiny took place. And then the Bounty continued without Bligh through, Tubuai. I've never heard of this place. Have you heard of this place, Julie? Tubuai, Tahiti, back, and ultimately to Pitcairn Island. Meanwhile, the Bligh and his guys were set off in this longboat, I guess you'd call it, in the launch, and made their way across by navigation. They just had a bit of bread, not much else. Caught things on the way, landed and did some island hopping here across Endeavour Strait, across the northeast coast of Australia, and headed Y to Timor because it was the closest known European settlement. So that's why he was headed there, and he did make it, and then ultimately back to London. And it was on this day, the 14th of June in 1789, that Bligh and his loyal men were cast off from Bounty, HMS Bounty, and reached Timor on this day after sailing the 5,800 kilometers that we mentioned. 6-meter launch. 6 meters. 20 feet, less than. Okay, on this day in history. Did you have any idea he'd been the administrator? Oh, you did. Oh, you went to Stanford.
No, I read the history.
Well, okay, you went.
When I first started going to Australia, I decided I didn't know enough about it. And because I was in and out of there every other year for 20 years,
yeah,
I took on a new history every time I went. So
good for you.
Yeah.
João Alexander saying ahoy from Portugal. Gordon Smith checking in from Denmark. Yeah, 3,600 nautical miles, Stingray. That was a bit. And as Ted Ryman pointed out, they did land safely on the coast of Australia. Apparently several different stops and starts there. David James is saying the Outrigger Canoe Club is a pretty special place, the place where we were talking about the David Robinson had been the manager. Of course, Julie Aaron saying it was Newton who took the apple on the head, as I'm sure you all know. Anything else of note? Drinking Illustrated, I love it, Stingray is saying. We are drinking a lot of tequila, John Emmett is saying, down in Mexico. Well, as you would, as you should, right?
Yes, absolutely.
Let's get into our primary guest today, recorded a couple days ago, Jordan Stevenson, another one of these great kids. Yeah, he from New Zealand. He will be racing in the Governor's Cup, which will be down at Balboa Yacht Club, the 55th edition of the oldest international youth and most prestigious international youth match racing championship, taking place here at the end of next month. We'll be televising that as well. Last year's winners, Jeffrey Peterson and his team, they're featured in that last slide. And here is our interview with Jordan Peterson from a couple days ago. Well, welcome to the third episode of the Road to the Governor's Cup 2022. We have been doing these now we did them last year, for last year's GovCup. And with me standing by in Newport Beach is GovCup guru Andy Rose, along with our third interviewee, skipper Jordan Stevenson from Auckland. Andrew, take it away.
Well, thank you, Tom. It is great. These interviews have been a great fun last year, and we're having fun with them this year. We've got quite a few to go, but we wanted to get our guest today on early because there's some interesting things about Jordy. Jordy, welcome. I want to say something first, which really isn't a question, but we had talked about this with Robbie McCutcheon, our last interviewee. Robbie is sort of the new wave from Royal New Zealand Yacht Squadron. You're sort of the transition guy. you were invited last year to the GovCup as one of the early invitees. We are allowed to invite sailors with particularly awesome records early, and we generally do that in February, which we did last year. And of course, that was, it just didn't happen because of the COVID thing. And so we are excited to have the Australian and New Zealanders and the Brits back this year. So we're really looking forward to an awesome Governor's Cup. But Jordy, why don't you very quickly, Tom, why don't you show what sort of a little history. Tom's been doing a great job with sort of some historic or hysterical photos from before, and we'll walk through that with you.
Over to you, Jordan.
Yeah, hey guys, it's good to be on the show. Hope everything's going well up in California. I know that we've been locked away for a bit down here, but no, it'll be good to chat through some of these old pics. This one in particular was taken in Puerto Vallarta in 2014, I believe. That's the Optimist North Americans. So yeah, right at the beginning of my sailing career, when I was in the little bathtubs, as most of us have been through, and I think that was probably, I got a taste for it and couldn't really get enough. So yeah, here I am today. This one's taken in Auckland, our first 29er training session back in maybe 2015, 2016. And yeah, we capsized probably 7 or 8 times in that session, but it was worth it. It was good fun. And yeah, stepping into a bit of a faster boat, but better, but easier to get around the track rather than sinking in a little bathtub the whole time. So no, it's good. And then I guess from there on, most of them will be match racing photos, right?
Well, except this one, it looks like you're a bit of a runner, a schoolboy runner. Is that right?
Well, I mean, yeah, a little bit. I did a bit of running back in school. I can't say I've carried on since then, but yeah, I did do a little bit. You can see I'm putting in quite a lot of effort there anyway.
What are you running? Is that cross country, or is it training for rugby, or?
No, that'd probably be a 3K, I think. Oh yeah, maybe cross country, maybe a 3K. I didn't really fancy myself a sprinter, so I took on the long distance ones, to be honest. But yeah, no, I didn't actually play rugby either, which is probably a shock for you guys, right? But no, I didn't play rugby.
And you've been to GovCup before, Andy. Do you remember this year that photo?
They all look alike to me, Tom. It's been so many years.
What year was this, Jordan?
That'd be 2019. I mean, we when we came up in 2019, we were fizzing. That was probably one of the first. That was our first trip to the States actually for yachting. So yeah, no, we were full fizzed, and it was such a cool event. So we're super excited to come back. But you can just see from the smiles on everyone's faces, they're all having a good time. But yeah, no, we can't wait.
Well, good. It's let's talk a little bit about, Tom shows maybe a couple of these other slides, which are more match racing stuff. Your record up until the shutdown was pretty amazing, which is why you were an early invitee. I think both years, 2020 and 21. Tell us a little about what you won. Just go through the 2 Australian regattas and the 3 major New Zealand regattas and anything else you've done. Just give us just some highlights.
Yeah, sure thing. It's funny, you got to go back quite a few years to remember those days. I think we started in maybe 2018, I think, where we went. Ruben Corbett took us over to the Harkin Youth International in Sydney, and that was the first win we got, the first major win. We didn't expect it, but it came, and we were pretty stoked. He said to us as we were sailing, and he said, "All right, you've done this one, you've won it, so you don't need to come back here anymore." And we didn't. And so you can never, if you go and win it and then don't go back again, I guess you've got a good record, right? You can't lose it. But yeah, following that, we had a pretty big tour of the States in September or August, September 2019. That was where we went up and did the Grand Slam, which was such a cool experience. All in all, I think we won the D Cup in Detroit, and then we won the Thompson Cup at the end there, and we got, I think, 3rd at Oak Cliff as well, which was pretty cool considering we're sailing 40 footers, which we'd never stepped in before. I'd never held a steering wheel until we actually got up there, so we were pretty fresh, but managed to pull it together somehow.
Yeah, so you won the Grand Cup Series. I believe. We should note that those are not age limited. The Governor's Cup, of course, is limited. You cannot have reached your 23rd birthday. Those are not age limited, and so they attract all the best match racers from around the world. And so that was truly quite an accomplishment. And I can tell you at that point, you were going to be an early invitee for any Governor's Cup you were eligible for. And I'm just sorry we couldn't do the last two. But what have you been doing? You haven't been sailing a lot. The problem, just I think we mentioned in one of the other interviews, is that the travel restrictions in Australia and New Zealand were such that you couldn't even go over to Australia to sail. So, you said you've been doing a lot of cooking. What else have you been doing?
Yeah, no, that's a good point. It was tough, especially watching everyone else up your way, in California, doing things like you had the Worlds and GovCup back to back, which looked so cool. And I mean, we were really gutted we couldn't be there, but we couldn't be anywhere. I personally, I think at the start of COVID, I graduated from Auckland Uni, or maybe a year, and then I managed to find myself a job. So I'm at KPMG here in Auckland, in the corporate finance team, which is a good bit of fun. Takes up a lot of my time, so it's probably a good thing. I haven't been trying to do too much training recently, and I think in terms of the other boys as well, they're doing the same thing. Look, I mean, one of the guys is working as a marine sparky, and he's picked up being a mechanic in his spare time, so he doesn't really have much time for sailing either. And then there's Georgie's an engineer currently studying Auckland Uni, so we've all got things to do that have kind of filled up the diary while we couldn't go sailing. And I mean, it'll be good to get back out there. That's one thing, definitely.
That's great. Well, I do finance for a living myself, so we can talk about finance when you get here.
Oh, brilliant.
That's great. I think that, as this series is a double round robin and then semifinals and finals. So the good news for, I think, any of you guys from Australia or New Zealand is that you have a lot of races before anything serious happens. And so, I was looking back at some of the past years, and we had one year where a semifinalist lost his first 7 races in the rounds robin, and then won all the rest of them and made it in a tiebreaker into the semis. So, that kind of thing to have. So a little rusty the first race or two, it's no big deal. Now, having said that, I'd go for winning every round robin race and then facing the jinx that the winner of the round robin never wins the cup. But in any event, that's great. What is this your same crew that you would have had last year and the year before? Yeah,
it would be. So the first year we came up, we had a slightly different crew. One of the guys, Jake, he's actually aged out. He aged out just after that event. So he's been swapped out for Mitch Jackson, who's our usual main trimmer. And they're bloody good. I mean, I couldn't really ask for any better crew to follow me around the world. So we should be kind of kicking off where we finished, hopefully.
Great. All right. Well, the competition's going to be really interesting because I noticed that Robbie McCutcheon was sort of on a roll, and then this most recent one, the center point, Will Sargent from Australia, came over and beat him. So I think Will's going to be tough too. But the Kiwis and Aussies have won, I forget what the number is, but since we went international in 1989, the Kiwis and Aussies have won, I think, more than the United States has, or at least equal. So they'll be great. And then we have Robbie King from the UK, who's a 2-time youth match racing champion over there, but has a similar thing. He's going to Caltech here for graduate school, and so he hasn't been sailing a lot. But I suspect all you guys will figure it out. It's like riding a bicycle, right? It'll all come back.
That's what they say. Andy.
Yeah,
we'll find out.
Must be true. Well, we're looking forward to having you, Robbie. I wasn't as disappointed as all you guys were the last couple of years, but we were certainly disappointed. I mean, having to cancel the Governor's Cup in 2020 was just heart-wrenching, because we've been at it now for 55 years and 56 years, if you count that year. And but this should be one of the best ever. And as usual, the hospitality and everything will be pretty good. Even better hors d'oeuvres at the receptions.
Oh, it's pretty hard to complain about the hospitality, Andy. I'd say if there's any event you'd take as a highlight on the offshore side of things, it'd probably have to be GovCup, right? You don't get that anywhere else. So
no, that's good to hear. Well, also thanks to Tom Eamon and Chris Bretschker, our producer director, are on the water, and all our shows, our live streaming is going to be even better this year. We've got better cameras, we got sort of more of everything each year. So I think hopefully you'll be impressed. This interview, Tom, why don't you tell him that you will send him this and what our platforms are, et cetera.
Yeah, we'll air this on Tuesdays, Tom Eamon Live, and it's on YouTube, Facebook, and so on. I'll send you the links. But more importantly, you've been to the GovCup, Jordy, so you know about the Monday night dinner and preparing for the Andy Rose roast of all the skippers.
Absolutely. Yeah, no, from what I remember, that was a pretty good time. I think you put us on stage two teams at a time, right? And you kind of just pick us apart until we really want to leave.
Good. That I'm doing my job.
That's it.
Good.
Well, good. Thank you, gentlemen. We'll look forward to seeing you in a few weeks, Jordan. And Andy, we'll see you next weekend down in Long Beach for the Rose Cup, the U.S. Youth Match Racing National Championship. Until then, thank you very much and see you soon. Nice group of kids so far. We've done, 3 of them. But I see some comments here. Ed Worley, a question actually. Will the GovCup teams have a chance to get oriented and practice on the boats before the series starts? Yes, they will. They all get practice racing, sailing in over the weekend. The problem is that the youth match racing worlds are going on in France, and Andy worked really hard to try to separate the two and as much as possible. With the kids, there will be 2 or 3, 4 of them, I think, flying back probably on the same plane from France into Newport Beach, into SoCal, and it will have Sunday, Monday. I think they get back on Sunday. They'll have Monday to practice, and as Andy said, they get the rounds robin. They get that racing under their belts before they get into the semifinals and finals if they're do well enough in the rounds robin. And it's been any number of times where the top kids will come in, not do so well in the rounds, and then make it into the semis and win it, or vice versa, where there's somebody who wins the rounds robin then advances to the semis and finals and gets taken, gets pissed out, as you would say. I wouldn't say that. But, okay, enough of that. I just love these kids. They're so bright, and I see Will Bolden on here. Now, Will is coming up as a coach for, I think, one of the Perth teams. He lives in Perth. He says, he's talking about Geordie, as the kids call him, Jordan Stevenson from New Zealand. He's saying an academic and an athlete, the full package. Well, that seems to be, Julia, what's been going on with all these kids that we've interviewed so far. And let me tell you about Will Bolden, because he's not only a former GovCup, but we met him during the GovCup. He's also an entrepreneur. He's got a couple of businesses, I believe, going on in Perth. And I don't know if he is up early or up late, because my clock says it's 04:33 in Perth, 04:33 on Wednesday. Bloody hell, Will. But we'll look forward to seeing you up here, Will, for the Governor's Cup, which is, of course, down in Newport Beach, Balboa Yacht Club, on the last full week of July. We've interviewed so far Robbie King, Robbie McCutcheon, and Jordan Stevenson, all top-notch kids. And I'll say it again, Julia, it just makes one confident in the future, not only of our sport, but in the world. When you realize that we don't have just a bunch of croutons in the world. We got a bunch of kids just like this, whether they're sailors or not. We'll be interviewing Jack Egan hopefully tomorrow and have him on next Tuesday's show. Jack Egan's, of course, from the States here, terrific collegiate sailor, terrific all-around sailor. And no show Friday. We would air it on Friday normally, but no show Friday because I'll be down helping Chris Bretschker and Andy Rose & Co. with the Rose Cup. But it's the Governor's Cup. We're talking about 25th through the 30th of July, the 55th annual Governor's Cup, the prestigious International Youth Match Racing Championship. And then the Rose Cup this weekend down at Long Beach Yacht Club in the Solings, just inside the outer breakwater, but outside the cut there. And that we will live coverage. We'll cover it live on TV the 18th and 19th of June, this Saturday, Sunday, on U.S. Sailing's Facebook page and YouTube channel, courtesy of GovCup TV, our production team down there. Jody Shields, I'm non-athletic and non-educated. Does that make me the full package? Julia, you can shake a finger at him for that.
I think the answer is I'd have to check.
We got to shake a finger at you, Julia. That was the
Sorry.
raciest comment we've ever heard out of you on this show in 5 years, I think. Jody, better stay away from Julia. She's going to check your package. What's in that coffee over there, Julia?
Little tequila.
That must be.
Yeah.
Yeah, lots of great comments, and Julia always likes to remind us. What now?
Sorry, guys. I know. It was so open. I had to do that.
Naughty Julia. Of course, you were not talking. The package you were talking about, I'm sure, was his tequila package or his beer package or something, right?
His educational.
These kids are great too. You know, you have to. We need a Kiwi to help with the translation. He talks about a fizza. Remember, we first learned that word from Leo Takahashi.
Oh yeah,
and it can mean both. We had a real fizzer, which means we had a great day or a great event or a great occasion or a great race, or we fizzled out and it was a real fizza. And then he used the expression, he's a Marine Sparky, about one of his crew.
Yeah.
And a Marine Sparky, those of you who, I don't know if that's used widely, maybe it is. I think we use it in the States, but we have all these expressions that are influenced from Aussies and Kiwis in the sport, maybe the Brits too. And a Sparky is what we would call an electron. He's a Marine electron, meaning an electronics guru. Right, kids, cool stuff. And Julia reminds us to go back and Julie Ahrens, a package. Julie, that's a great. A package is a package. Wag, 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 Julia.
Uh-oh.
Watch out, he might mail it to you, Grim Sweeney.
Oh, well.
You naughty old lady, Julia Ahrens is saying. Springy comment, Alan Long.
No.
We better get off this and get on to something else.
Yes.
Sail GP's coming up this weekend in Chicago in what has to be one of the worst Photoshop pictures I've ever seen, because Sail GP's never been to Chicago, so they've taken some kind of event there on Navy Pier, probably the M32s, the MC32s. Stingray saying, "What's next? Tip and Shaft Illustrated."
Sorry about that, guys.
Julia.
It was an off-the-cuff comment.
Okay, we're moving on. In the Navy, the electronics and radio tech are nicknamed Sparks or Sparkies. Yes, indeed.
Yeah.
Same in the radio business here. But Sail GP is, as you probably all know, going to Chicago for their second event of the year after Bermuda. The photoshopping was not correct for that image, but pulled off their website. On June 18th, 19th, 9 national Sail GP teams will race in excess of 60 miles per hour. They're using miles per hour, not kilometers per hour. Which would, what's 60? That's just south of 100 kph, right? On Lake Michigan, in front of the Chicago skyline, racing takes place from 15 to 16:30 local time on Saturday and Sunday. 3 races, of course, are scheduled per day, and a race course boundary will be in place each day starting 1 hour prior to the race. Here's a video that I did play before, this so-called Chicago Stadium course video, or whatever they call it. Let's have a look just as a reminder of what's happening this weekend in Chicago.
Chicago knows competition. We thrive on it. We've grown up on it. We never back down from a challenge. So when we have a chance to make history, we seize that moment. Take the country's #1 sports town, 2.71 million diehard fans, and the most iconic skyline in history. And what do you get? The greatest live sports venue in the world. This June, Chicago Skyline Stadium debuts as the world's best athletes go head-to-head, flying at highway speeds on a Lake Michigan racecourse that will thrill an entire city. Let's redefine the Chicago sports experience and introduce the Windy City to the competition it was born to host in an arena like no other.
And our Fozy Jeffrey Peterson is there with, I guess, the USA Sail GP team working with the Inspire program. And Dr. Bray, our friend from down at Balboa Yacht Club, who is the team doctor for at least Sail GP's USA team, maybe for all of the Sail GP teams when they're in this country. I know he was up here in San Francisco as well, Dr. Bray and Jeffrey Peterson, and lots of others will be watching that. And I checked the forecast this morning. It's a few days out, but windy.com is generally pretty good this time of year. And it looks like a bit of breeze between 1 and 4 on Friday. You can see 10 gusting 18 knots, not kilometers per hour. Saturday between 1 and 4, it's looking 10 to 11, gusting 19 or so, 18.
That should be good.
It should be good. And on Sunday, so practice Friday, racing Saturday and Sunday, again, it looks even breezier on Sunday, 13 gusting 20, 11 gusting 21 at 4. So in that window of their racing, it looks like breeze on. Now, knowing that and knowing the current standing so far, with Australia leading and that team owned by Tommy Spithill and has won the first 2 seasons and leading here in season 3, Sir Ben's team in second. Oh, Canada, Phil Robertson from New Zealand, he's been with China team and then the Spanish team, and now Canada, they're in third after the season opener in Bermuda and on down. But given how much breeze there is going to be, may I ask you to tell us now in the comments, question of the day, who do you think will win in Chicago this weekend? Breeze on. And as most of you know, in the breeze, it seems that the fastest team has traditionally been the Aussies, Tom Slingsby and co. But what about Jimmy Spithill? Home team advantage, home court advantage in Chicago with Team USA. How about the Kiwis? Are they going to find their stride, find their game? Who's going to win in Chicago this weekend? Julie Aaron says Chicago's always been referred to as the Windy City. Well, that's not because of the wind. Julia, you know why.
Yes, because the politicians have all been windy.
The windy politicians back at the turn of the last century.
Yeah.
The Windy City refers to a political convention when the speakers went on and on and on, Fog Machine says. Thank you. GBR, Gordon Smith, is a big supporter of Sir Ben Ainsley. He says they will win. Jody, Julie, you're never going to live this down. Jody Shields says the Aussies have the best. You can read the comment. That's a comment you should read.
Allegedly.
You should read that.
Allegedly. The Aussies have the best package.
That's good. Phil Robertson and David Carr leading Canada look very formidable. Yeah, they do look pretty good. Russell Sims is saying Canada. Well, it'll be interesting.
I'd go for somebody who knows the lake a little bit, and the Canadians probably do.
Well, I'm not sure anybody knows the lake any better than anybody else. They're all coming in, and they're all pros. They'll figure it out in a hurry. They've probably all sailed there one time or another, in some capacity. Who do you think will win? Julia, who's your pick?
I have no idea.
You think the Canadians?
I have no idea. I haven't seen enough of them racing to have an opinion.
VPJ. There's a lot of laughing still going on, Julia. You know what VPL is?
Mm-mm.
I'm not going to say because I'm too polite.
Okay. Don't tell me.
Julia Aaron says, my money is on Canada, plural packages. Anybody wants to put the meaning of VPL in the comments, then Julia can read that. Gordon Smith says Denmark. He's liking Denmark. He said GBR earlier. Well, Graham Sweeney said GBR will rip it up. All vessels keep clear. Now, Gordon Smith did say GBR earlier. Now he's switching over to his adopted country, Denmark. Freshwater racing. Yes, Jody, good point. Is this the only freshwater? I think it is the only freshwater Sail GP event. Wonder if Freshwater changes their boat setup. I doubt that, Fritz Mueller, except they won't have to worry so much about hosing it off afterwards. The Aussies will tell you. Another Midwest venue, most likely lesser note. Cleveland Race Week starts Friday through Sunday. The OD Regatta followed by the Offshore Regatta the following week. Yep, sailing, at least in the Northern Hemisphere, is in full swing. Jimmy's good in the breeze. Greg Phillips, yes, he is. So maybe that will help the USA. It's best set up for the less buoyant water. Yeah, okay. If it's wavy, the boats that can stay out. Well, let's go back and look at that forecast that can stay out of trouble. Just covering my bases. I can't always say Canada too. Tom Slimby looks impressive, but struggles in cold water. Well, this water isn't going to be particularly cold. Let me back up to that weather forecast. You see here on Friday, between 1 and 4, it's going to be out of the northeast. So and it's windy. So I don't know what that means. Normally in the Midwest this time of year, you have frontal passage coming from the northwest, and then a breeze clocks around and goes soft. But it's pretty breezy out of the northeast on Friday, and likewise on Saturday, northeast breeze between 1 and 4, 10 gusting 19. So that's wavy. That means because it's blowing across from for the fetch from Michigan across to Chicago is fairly
could be bumpy.
Could be pretty lumpy, especially if it's been blowing for 2 days.
Yep.
Out of the northeast. And then Sunday it swings around to the southwest. Well, that's a good point. An interesting call. Isn't Chicago on an arm of the sea, according to the court? Paul Homchick is saying. Well, that was not really a decision, saying that it was because nobody objected. Paul's referring to the court decision in 1985, from memory. I think it was 85, when all New York Yacht Club and Royal Perth Yacht Club went to the court in New York because Chicago wanted a challenge for the 87 Cup, 87 Cup, and the court couldn't be bothered, and they said, well, nobody's objecting to it, so whether or not they're on an arm of the sea, we're not going to worry about it for the purpose of this match. I guess it's okay, but that wasn't really an official interpretation, certainly not an amendment of the deed by any means.
Right.
So some people said, yes, clearly Chicago's on an arm of the sea because in those days, Julie, you couldn't drink the water in Lake Michigan. I'm not sure I would today either. Replying to Gordon Smith, we don't want it to go soft. Oh, we want it hard. Oh, my goodness. Julie Aarons, it will be lumpy. Yes, it looks like it is. 9th East is probably very fresh. And the Northeast, Mark Husted is saying, yes. Well, it's not normally that fresh in this time of year in Michigan, but it
is. Storms.
Graham Sweeney, there's your definition of EPL, Julia. Vegetarians prefer lettuce. That's not what it really means. The Heart of America Challenge, Ed Worley is saying. Yes, it's true. Yeah. Somebody will put up the VPL, the real meaning, and then we'll make you read it after your package comment, Julia. My goodness. Okay, so that's
it's your interpretation, not my.
No,
my
it's not. You said it and you meant it. We all know. Package Illustrated, Ryman is saying.
Oh, stop it.
Front going through Thursday night, swings back Saturday night, so Sunday might be lighter. Okay, thank you, Fog Machine. Interesting. Okay, so much for Package Illustrated. Aren't all SailGP teams supposed to have standard?
No backtracking.
Julia.
Oh.
You got it. Okay, I'm going to save you now. No wonder Julia gets excited when Amazon guy shows up with package delivery.
He delivers every day. Oh, gosh, you guys.
Oh, my goodness. Julie Aarons, I've sailed Cleveland Race Week. Lots of fun. Julia, you must own it. Okay. Julia, you must own it. I think she meant to say. I wanted a package holiday. What's Gordon Smith? They're coming in fast and furious. I'm gonna change the subject here,
Please,
Julia, to the Race to Alaska. It's underway.
Oh, yeah.
And it's the Race to Alaska, which, of course, we covered on here with the producer of the film some weeks ago, the documentary that looks like it's going to be terrific. It's out in movie theaters now, at least here in the U.S. Race to Alaska now in its 6th year follows the same general rule. What's not the comments? Quit picking on Julia, Joyce Chiarella is saying.
Thank you, Joyce.
You should add something to Julia's coffee every show. Tracking packages. Is this the UPS illustrated?
Oh, you guys.
Oh, Stingray, that was not correct. I'm not going to read that one. Okay, let's get back. So Race to Alaska is carrying on. It starts no motor, no support through Wild Frontier, navigating by sail or paddle, but at some point both. The 750 miles, cold water miles from Port Townsend, Washington, northwest corner of the state of Washington, up to Ketchikan, Alaska, to save people from themselves and possibly fulfill event insurance coverage requirements. This is their release, their official release.
Yeah.
The distance is divided into 2 stages. Anyone that completes the 40-mile crossing from Port Townsend to Victoria, British Columbia, can pass, go, and proceed. Those that fail stage 1 go to the R2AK, the Race to Alaska, jail, meaning they can't race. Their race is done. Here is the 2022 plan. And race stage 1 started on the 13th. Yesterday, Port Townsend, Washington, most of them have finished. It's only 40 miles. I think they've probably all finished by now. Stage 2, the race start is Thursday, the day after tomorrow, Victoria, BC, up to Ketchikan. There's a $10,000 prize if you finish first, a set of steak knives if you're second, cathartic elation if you can simply complete the course. The R2AK is a self-supported race with no supply drops and no safety net. Any boat without an engine can enter. No outside assistance, I will add editorially. In 2019, there were 48 starters for stage 1 and 37 finishers. Of those finishers, 35 took on stage 2, of which 10 were tagged DNF.
Tough race.
It is a tough race, but a fun race. I think just completing it is probably
honor enough.
Half the battle.
Yeah.
But we want to give a bravo Zulu. Thanks, Stingray, for helping me with this next little segment apropos this race. These kids were featured on King TV up in Seattle last night. A Team Seattle crew attempts to make history in the Race to Alaska. 4 local friends take on the daunting Inside Passage. NBC King 5 in the evening news last night. Here last night.